Hey, what's up, Dilio? Coming to you live again. And in this video, I just wanted to take a moment to chime in on the video. I saw the video that Bolo, the producer, put out about Splice and dealing with content IDs and stuff like that. And, watching that video, I thought it was a pretty cool perspective where he was coming from with that. It's very interesting. And he was in a very interesting position. You know, he has people that he can call if there's an issue. Like, yo, let me call. Boom. Right, and he got his issue resolved, and I appreciate that his concern wasn't about himself, and I hope that I'm quoting him properly, but that it was about the independent content creator who doesn't have the connections or may not be in the position that he is in. And I just wanted to talk about my perspective on the whole thing of being a Splice user. And I didn't want to zoom in. My camera tried to, there we go. I didn't want to talk about necessarily his experience, but just talk about how things are on YouTube platform and being a Splice user myself. So I definitely am a Splice user myself. I'm definitely am subscribed to the Serum plugins, and I am enjoying that Serum plugin and learning a lot about it and still going forward with that. But the thing is, it's like, from my opinion, Splice is not a Splice problem. What I mean by that, Splice has done everything they could do from their side to create the seamless way possible for you to provide licenses and documentation that you're authorized to use this loop however you want to use it. And from what I understand, it is that you could do whatever you want to do with the loop. You want to put it on a CD, you want to sell it on the street, you want to put it in your film, you want to put it in your song, you release it, you can do that, but just don't resell it as your own sample on your own loop pack. You know, don't Splice, don't be a Splice under the Splice stuff that you get from Splice and then be a Splice yourself, right? Don't do that. However, on the content creator side, and I know this to be true, that YouTube does not really put the content creator's interests first. They do try to put out a little bit of content here and help, but when it comes to like copyright claims and stuff like that, like I had an issue, right? Like I've had content things right there where I got flagged, and even though I was totally authorized to use what I was using, they still rejected what I was doing. They still rejected what I put out. So much so I remember somebody like sampled a song of a video game, but since they uploaded it through a DSP, now that sample is part of their content ID, and I don't know, I wish I could turn it off real quick, and their sample was part of that content ID, and boom, there they are. Now I'm getting flagged with something. I'm like, look, this is from a video game. Check out the video game. But the problem is, it's like when the hammer gets struck on you, you really don't have any defenses to protect yourself against that. You're really kind of stuck with it. So, and that's not necessarily Splice's fault. That is the level. We see one thing we're not talking about is the DSPs, like the major record companies who upload their stuff through official channels. Those stuff get content ID first, and if a producer or the company or whatever uses that loop and doesn't change it, you're at that mercy of it. And sometimes I live cook up and I use Splice samples, and I don't have the connections that Bolo has. I don't have people I can call. Maybe if I did some legwork, maybe I could find a connection, but at the end of the day, it's not a Splice problem. It's a YouTube problem, because YouTube does not provide a turnkey solution to protect yourself when you get content ID. As a matter of fact, all I think you really get is a little option to fill out a little form with text. You can't even upload the PDF that you can download from the license that you get from the Splice store at all. And if you lose, you lose big. If they lose, you're not like if the major record label company loses in this debate of who could use a sample, and the fault falls on them, they're not going to lose their record company. But if you lose the debate on you, even if you're right, and then whatever it is that in YouTube's world thinks you're wrong, you could get a strike on your channel, lose your whole channel. So you don't even really have anything. It's not really enough, in my opinion, for Splice to back you up. What's really important is for YouTube to back you up. And unless you're a big dog in this world on YouTube, you're not going to get that. And I think that if you take a Splice sample and you use it anywhere else other than YouTube, you're not really going to run into these problems. It's just that YouTube is such a large search engine. It's the second largest search engine in the world, to my knowledge. I could be wrong. Second only to Google. And so I could see what the fuss is about putting out content on here, because if you want to be seen or if you want to be heard as a music producer, as an artist, you got to get your content on YouTube. And I've followed that same doctrine, and I've lived and suffered and enjoyed the benefits of it, but also dealt with the downfalls of that too as well. Which makes me think about other strategies of getting yourself out there that doesn't include YouTube, especially if YouTube, from my opinion, does not prioritize the content creator first in the equation. It prioritizes the DSPs, and it prioritizes the AdSense customers first. Then it's the content creators. And that's just the reality of it is. So how do we adapt with that? So, I think that, say you took that loop, you cooked it up, and you uploaded it through DistroKid or CD Baby, then it ends up on YouTube. That's not going to get a copyright strike. That whatever content ID strategy that's out there to filter out content to drive the funds to the labels, because obviously that's their priority, doesn't quite apply there. But again, it's a big problem that I don't really believe that it's in YouTube's priority list of creating a better experience for its user. It wants to create better experience for record labels with the bag, and for advertisers, and for very successful content creators who have millions of subscribers. And therefore, especially in the producer space, like I know there's some people here that do really good in the music producer space on YouTube, but learning how to make beats and plugins and all that stuff is not the most highest searched or most revenue generating topic on here. Like, we're like in a corner. Like, if you really look at the grand scape of things, like, and I was just looking into this. I was just looking on trends on different topics. Music production is not on the top of the list. So if you're doing successful on here in the music production realm, you're really crushing it, because it is not the most things that people in the grand scheme of things on the whole YouTube channel platform. And I think that goes to another point. It's like this whole loop copyright ID, content ID thing with beats and stuff like that represents such a small corner of the entire planet that is YouTube, that it's just not the necessary prioritize. But then again, if you release this music and you put it out anywhere else other, if you burn it on a CD, if you put it out on the radio, use your own disc, you put out your own records, you're not going to have an issue. But as a content creator where you're working with it and upload it as a video or upload it as a live stream, you know, the protection or the ease of use or grace isn't quite there. Isn't quite there. And so my point is this, is that this whole Splice thing, or just using any type of it's not a Splice problem. But YouTube isn't Splice's platform. Splice is Splice's platform. YouTube is its own thing. Like I said before, it's not a Splice problem. It's a YouTube problem. And we know how YouTube is about fixing their problems, right? So I just wanted to chime in on that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, your call to action is to like, comment, subscribe, and vibe. I'm Dilio. You're watching Dilio T2K YouTube channel.